Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight, we are turning our attention downward, beneath the familiar world of sky and horizon, into a vast and hidden realm that most of us rarely think about. Beneath streets and forests, beneath deserts and oceans, there exists a living world shaped by pressure, darkness, water, and stone. It is a place where life follows different rules, where chemistry replaces sunlight, and where entire ecosystems unfold without ever seeing the moon or stars. Life underground inhabits one of the largest habitats on Earth, stretching through caves, roots, and water-filled fractures deep below the surface. It supports organisms that move slowly, grow patiently, and endure conditions that would overwhelm most familiar forms of life. It also holds records of our past, stores the water we depend on, and quietly shapes the landscapes above without us ever knowing. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is relax. Allow your shoulders to soften. Let your breathing slow, and allow your attention to settle as we travel into these unseen depths together. Let's begin. The majority of Earth's living space is actually underground. When you picture habitats, you might think of forests, reefs, or open ocean. Yet a huge share of the planet's usable space is tucked into soil grains, cave systems, aquifers, and tiny pores inside rock. Even a handful of dirt holds a labyrinth of air pockets and water films, and those micro-spaces stack downward for meters, then hundreds of meters, then far deeper in fractured stone. Add in groundwater layers that can stretch for many miles, plus networks of caves carved by water over long ages, and the underground becomes a three-dimensional world with room to spare. It is also steady down there. Temperatures change slowly, winds do not roar, and light never interrupts the long rhythms of chemistry and time. Caves can preserve footprints and bones for tens of thousands of years. A cave can act like a natural vault, not because it is magical, but because it is steady. Sunlight does not bleach, rain does not pound, and temperature swings are muted. In the right conditions, delicate traces can last far longer than they would on open ground. Footprints can harden in clay, then stay protected from wind and flowing water. Bones can remain where animals fell, sometimes with gnaw marks that hint at what happened next. Even a thin layer of mineral-rich dripping water can seal a surface like clear varnish, locking a moment into stone. For archaeologists and paleontologists, caves are time capsules. They can reveal who walked there, what animals lived nearby, and how climates shifted, all without the scene being constantly erased and rewritten. Some animals spend their whole lives in darkness and never see day. For many cave specialists, daylight is not home. They hatch, feed, mate, and die in places where the sun is only a rumor. Over many generations, features that are costly become less useful. Eyes can shrink or disappear, and pigment can fade, while other senses become more important. Touch and smell often take the lead, with long antennae, sensitive hairs, and chemical detection that can trace food through still air or slow water. Some species are so local that a single cave system is their entire universe, and that makes them both wondrous and fragile. Their lives can depend on a trickle of nutrients from outside, like leaves washed in by floods or insects that wander in, which turns survival into a careful balancing act. Life was found kilometers down, where pressures crush ordinary cells. When scientists sample deep rock, they're not just looking for fossils. They are looking for living cells in places that feel more like another planet than a familiar Earth habitat. In some deep mines and drilling sites, microbes have been detected at depths of several kilometers in warm, pressurized water moving through cracks. The pressure is enormous, and temperatures rise as you go down. Nutrients are scarce, and energy can be hard to access. Yet some organisms persist, protected by tough cell walls, efficient repair systems, and metabolisms tuned to low-power living. A few communities may be isolated for very long periods, living off local chemistry rather than regular inputs from the surface. Each discovery expands the boundary of where biology can operate, and it reshapes how we think about life's limits. Humans have built entire cities underground, from shelters to subways. Going underground is not only an accident of geology, it is also a human choice, repeated across cultures and centuries. In some regions, people carved homes and storage rooms into soft rock to escape heat, wind, and invasion. In others, underground spaces became places for water cisterns, catacombs, and protected routes through crowded cities. Modern life adds new layers, with subway systems, utility tunnels, shopping corridors, and even underground research labs. The appeal is practical. Temperatures are more stable, surface land can be saved, and certain risks can be reduced with good engineering. Still, the underground asks for respect. Air must be managed, water must be controlled, and rock must be understood. Done well, it becomes a second city, one that quietly supports the one in sunlight. The oldest known human art includes cave paintings tens of thousands of years old. In deep chambers far from daylight, people once carried fire and pigment into stone silence and left marks that still speak. Some of those paintings are so old that whole climates have changed since the artists stood there. The images often show animals with confident lines, and the walls sometimes use natural bumps in the rock to suggest muscle and movement. That choice reveals observation and planning, not random scribbling. Reaching many of these places required crawling, climbing, and navigating darkness with smoking torches. That effort tells you the act mattered. Caves offered protection from weather, and they also offered permanence. Once paint dried in a stable cave, it could endure where open-air art would wash away. When you stand before those shapes, you are not only seeing art, you are meeting a mind from deep time. Some caves preserve ancient charcoal and ash from long-vanished fires. A fire leaves a signature that can be surprisingly durable when it is sheltered from wind and rain. In caves, charcoal fragments can remain where they fell, and thin layers of ash can stay trapped in quiet corners. Archaeologists read these traces like clues in a story. Charcoal can reveal what kinds of wood were burned, which hints at the surrounding landscape outside the cave. Ash patterns can suggest repeated visits, cooking, tool-making, or warmth during harsh seasons. Sometimes soot stains on ceilings show where smoke collected, and those darkened patches can map the airflow of a chamber long ago. These deposits can also be dated, which turns a scattered hearth into a timestamp. It is striking to think that a short night of flame can leave evidence that lasts for millennia. In a cave, even smoke can become part of the record. Underground burials can protect bones and textiles when surface conditions destroy them. On the surface, sun, insects, and shifting weather can break down remains quickly. Underground, the pace can change dramatically. Soil can buffer temperature swings, and deep chambers can stay dry enough to slow decay. In certain environments, textiles and organic materials survive that would normally vanish, offering rare glimpses of clothing, weaving, and daily life. Bones can remain articulated, which helps archaeologists understand burial practices and community beliefs. The underground setting can also reduce scavenging, since fewer animals reach sealed or deep spaces. Preservation is never guaranteed, and moisture can still ruin a site. Yet many of the world's best archaeological surprises come from protected underground eme. Contexts. A burial is not only a resting place. It can become an archive. When a sealed space holds steady for centuries, it can carry fragile human details forward, waiting quietly for discovery. Permafrost can trap ancient DNA underground, preserving genetic history. When ground stays frozen year after year, it can act like a natural freezer for biological material. Cells break down more slowly, and DNA fragments can persist far longer than they would in warmer soils. Scientists can extract genetic traces from frozen sediment, and those traces can reveal which plants and animals once lived nearby, even when bones are absent. This approach can reconstruct vanished ecosystems, tracking shifts from grasslands to forests or changes in animal communities as climates warmed and cooled. The excitement comes with care, because DNA can be fragile and contamination is a constant risk. Still, permafrost offers a rare bridge between the living and the long gone. It can hold a molecular snapshot of a landscape that no human ever saw. As permafrost warms in modern times, some of that stored history can be lost. The ground is not only terrain, it is memory held in ice. Sinkholes can open when underground voids collapse, sometimes without warning. A sinkhole can seem sudden, but the story often begins quietly. Water dissolves rock or washes fine grains into deeper spaces, and a cavity grows beneath the surface. Above that cavity, the ground becomes a roof, and roofs can hold until they cannot. Sometimes there are hints, like small cracks, new depressions, doors that stick, or trees that lean. Sometimes there are none, but a casual observer would notice. When collapse happens, it can be dramatic, swallowing fences, roads, or sections of a yard in minutes. In karst regions, this risk is part of daily geology, and careful mapping helps planners avoid the most vulnerable zones. Sinkholes also remind us how connected surface life is to underground processes. A patch of ground is not always solid in the way it feels. Beneath it, empty space can be growing, shaped by water and gravity, waiting for a final moment of failure. The soil beneath a lawn can hold more organisms than people in cities. In a patch of ordinary ground, life crowds into spaces you could miss with a blink. Bacteria and archaea coat mineral grains. Fungi thread between them like slow-moving lace. Tiny mites, springtails, and nematodes graze, hunt, and recycle, all inside a world built from crumbs of rock and roots. The wild part is scale. 1 teaspoon of healthy soil can contain an astonishing number of microbes, and each one lives in a micro-neighborhood with its own moisture, oxygen, and food. When grass grows above, sugars leak from roots and become meals for whole communities below. That hidden bustle is why soil can smell rich after rain, and why a garden can rebound after a harsh season. It is a living engine disguised as dirt. Earthworms reshape soil so powerfully that they change whole landscapes. They look modest, but their work is relentless. As earthworms tunnel, they pull leaf litter down, chew it, and mix it with mineral soil. That mixing creates stable crumbs that hold both air and water, which helps roots breathe and helps plants survive dry spells. Their burrows also become highways for rain, guiding water deeper instead of letting it run off the surface. Over years, the ground can become looser, darker, and more fertile, all because thousands of small bodies kept moving through it. In some places, Earthworms even change which plants can thrive because the soil structure shifts in favor of certain roots and fungi. If you want a simple image of geology in motion, imagine soil being kneaded every night by living hands that never sleep. Ant tunnels can ventilate the ground and change local soil chemistry. An ant nest is not just a hole. It is a designed space with shafts, chambers, and exits that can act like a breathing system. As wind and temperature change above ground, air can move through the tunnels, bringing oxygen down and carrying carbon dioxide out. That air flow affects how microbes behave, because many underground reactions depend on oxygen levels. Ants also move soil grains from deeper layers to the surface, and they carry food scraps, seeds, and waste into different rooms. Each relocation shifts nutrients, moisture, and acidity in a way that can alter what grows nearby. Some nests become little islands of fertility, while others create bare patches where conditions are harsh. A colony can be small on the surface, yet underground it is a construction project that rewrites the ground's chemistry. Termite mounds connect to vast underground galleries that regulate temperature. A tall mound can look like a sculpture, but its real secret is the living architecture below. Many termites build networks of tunnels that reach down to damp soil, and they connect those passages to the mound above like vents in a carefully planned building. Warm air rises and cooler air sinks, so the structure can move heat and gases without any fan or motor. That helps the colony keep a steadier climate for fragile young and for their food source, which is often fungus they cultivate in protected chambers. The termites tend their fungus gardens with surprising care, feeding them plant material and harvesting the results. The mound becomes a climate machine, a farm, and a nursery at the same time. When you see one standing in a field, you are looking at surface evidence of an underground city tuned for comfort. Deep microbes can live without sunlight, fed by rock chemistry. In the deep subsurface, there are places where no ray of sunlight has ever reached, and yet metabolism still happens. Some microbes make a living by pulling energy from reactions between water and minerals, like a tiny battery that never needs charging from the sky. In certain rocks, natural radiation can split water molecules, producing hydrogen and other reactive chemicals that become food. Elsewhere, iron and sulfur in minerals act like fuels, and microbes tap them the way we tap sugar. This kind of life is patient and efficient. It often grows slowly, because energy arrives in small amounts. Still, it changes its environment over time, altering groundwater chemistry and leaving signatures in rock that scientists can measure, like footprints made of car. Molecules. A huge portion of Earth's bacteria may live beneath your feet. It is easy to imagine bacteria as a surface story, floating in ponds or clinging to leaves. Yet drilling projects, mine studies, and rock core sampling keep pointing to a startling possibility. A very large share of bacterial life could be living in the subsurface, spread through sediments, groundwater, and cracks in hard rock. These communities are not simply leftovers from the surface. Many have genes suited for darkness, low nutrients, and chemical energy sources. Some appear to be adapted for extreme patience, repairing damage and conserving resources while they wait for the next usable reaction. Thinking about that hidden abundance changes the scale of the biosphere. Earth is not only a skin of life. It is a planet with depth, filled with living potential in places we rarely see. Some underground ecosystems run on hydrogen, not on photosynthesis. Hydrogen can be a hidden currency underground, and in some places it supports whole communities. One major source is serpentinization, a reaction where certain mantle rocks meet water and produce hydrogen as they transform. In deep fractures and fault zones, that hydrogen can drift through rock like an invisible food delivery. Microbes that can use it thrive by combining hydrogen with carbon dioxide, build in organic matter without needing any plant or algae above. In a few deep mines, researchers have found microbial systems that seem to run on this kind of chemistry for long stretches, even when surface nutrients are scarce. It is a reminder that sunlight is not the only engine of life. Sometimes Earth's own rocks provide the spark. Underground fungi can link trees into networks that move carbon and nutrients. Beneath many forests, fungal threads spread through the soil like living cables, and they connect to plant roots in partnerships that can benefit both sides. The plant supplies sugars made from air and light, and the fungus helps gather water and minerals that roots struggle to reach alone. In some experiments, scientists have tracked carbon moving through these underground connections by using distinctive forms of carbon as tracers. The results suggest that resources can shift between plants, especially when one is shaded, stressed, or growing in poor soil. This does not mean the forest thinks like a brain. It means it is physically connected in ways that change how nutrients and carbon flow. When you walk through woods, you are walking above a busy exchange system that rarely shows itself. Some beetle larvae live in rotting roots and recycle plant carbon underground. Under a dying tree, the real drama is often below ground. As roots decay, they become a soft, dark buffet, and beetle larvae move in like patient recyclers. Hidden from view, they chew through woody tissue that most animals cannot digest alone. Microbes in their guts help break down tough plant fibers, turning stubborn carbon into smaller molecules that can re-enter the soil system. Their tunnels open pathways for fungi and bacteria, which speeds decomposition and changes how nutrients spread. Predators follow too, including other insects and sometimes burrowing mammals that can smell the feast. What looks like a quiet stump from above can be a busy underground banquet hall. This recycling is not just cleanup. It is the process that returns forest carbon to the soil, building future fertility from yesterday's roots. Moles can detect prey by sensing vibrations through soil. A mole hunts in a medium that muffles sight and sound, so it leans on touch in a way that feels almost supernatural. As an earthworm slides through a tunnel, it sends tiny vibrations into the ground. A mole can pick up those faint signals through sensitive receptors in its snout and paws, then steer toward the source with quick, efficient digs. In some species, the snout is packed with special touch organs, which makes the nose act like a fingertip sweeping through darkness. The hunt becomes a kind of listening with the skin. There is also strategy. A mole may patrol existing runways and place extra soil plugs that encourage prey to move in predictable ways. What seems like random burrowing is often a sensory map in motion, drawn from tremors that humans would never notice. Naked mole rats thrive in low oxygen where most mammals would panic. In crowded burrows, oxygen can drop and carbon dioxide can rise, and for many mammals that would feel like a warning siren. Naked mole rats treat it as normal life. Their bodies are adapted to keep working when air is thin, and they can slow their metabolism to match harsh conditions. They also live in colonies with a social structure that resembles insects more than typical mammals, with a breeding queen and many helpers. That teamwork matters underground, because digging is expensive and food can be patchy. They share tunnels, share warmth, and share the job of maintaining the nest. Their skin is nearly hairless, their eyes are small, and their teeth can dig forward like tools. The result is a mammal that feels almost invented, shaped by darkness and cramped air into something both odd and remarkably successful. Some burrowing frogs store water underground to survive long droughts. When rains vanish and the surface turns hard, some frogs do not migrate or perish. They go down. They burrow into soil where moisture lasts longer, and they enter a state of dormancy that can stretch for months. Their bodies conserve water with impressive efficiency, and some species form a cocoon from shed skin that reduces evaporation like a living rab. Inside that shelter, the frog's heart rate and activity drop, which lowers its need for food and water. Then it waits, sealed beneath the ground, while heat and dryness pass overhead. When rain finally returns, vibrations and moisture can trigger waking, and the frog may emerge quickly to feed and breed in temporary pools. It is a survival plan built for unpredictable climates. The underground becomes a time capsule that carries life across an empty season. Desert rodents cool their burrows by building them at specific depths. In deserts, the surface can swing from scorching day to cold night, and a small body loses water fast. Many rodents solve this by digging to the layer where temperature changes are slower and humidity is slightly higher. That depth can act like natural climate control, offering a steadier refuge when the sun is brutal. Some species also shape burrow entrances to reduce airflow during the hottest hours, and they plug openings with soil to hold in cooler air. Food storage chambers can be placed where dryness protects seeds from mold, while nesting areas can be tucked deeper for stability. The burrow becomes a carefully arranged home, not a simple hole. When you watch a tiny animal dash across sand, it is easy to miss the real story. Its true habitat is a hidden apartment engineered into the earth for comfort and survival. Prairie dog towns create underground neighborhoods with separate chambers for waste. From above, a prairie dog colony can look like scattered mounds. Below, it can be a planned community with rooms that serve different purposes. There are nesting chambers lined with grasses, side tunnels that provide escape routes, and areas used for storing food when resources allow. Many colonies also separate waste from sleeping spaces, which helps reduce parasites and keeps the main nest cleaner. The mounds of the surface are not just dirt piles. They can improve drainage, give the animals a lookout point, and shape airflow through the burrow. Prairie dogs also act as ecosystem engineers for the whole grassland. Their digging changes soil texture, their grazing influences plant growth, and their burrows provide shelter for other species that move in after them. A town is not only a home, it is a force that reshapes the prairie from the ground up. Roots can sense gravity and steer downward even in complete darkness. Inside the growing tip, tiny, heavy particles shift with gravity, and the plant reads that shift like a compass. That signal guides where growth hormones concentrate, so cells on one side lengthen more than the other, and the root curves with calm precision. This matters because the underground is crowded. A seed can sprout under stones, tangled litter, or packed soil where the easiest path is sideways. Even then, the root keeps correcting its course. When it meets a barrier, it can bend, branch, or thicken, and it often tests multiple directions before committing. It is slow problem-solving without eyes and without a brain, powered by chemistry and pressure. By the time a sprout breaks the surface, a quiet navigation story has already unfolded beneath it. Some roots grow toward water using chemical signals in the soil. A plant does not rely on luck to find moisture. When one side of a root touches a wetter patch, internal signals shift, and growth begins to favor that direction. The tip can respond to subtle gradients, where the difference between damp and dry is thin as a sheet of paper. In sandy ground, this helps a seedling chase water that drains quickly. In clay, it can guide roots toward cracks where moisture lingers longer after rain. This is not just about survival today. The pattern of root growth shapes the plant's future, deciding where it will anchor, where it will store nutrients, and how well it will handle heat. Over time, a plant can build a root system that maps local water habits, like a memory written in branching corridors, ready for the next dry spell. Plant roots can detect neighboring roots and change their growth strategy. Underground, plants are not alone, and roots constantly encounter signs of other roots nearby. They can detect chemicals released into the soil and adjust how they grow in response. Sometimes a plant spreads outward to claim space. Sometimes it invests deeper, avoiding competition near the surface. In crowded ground, a root system may shift from exploration to efficiency, focusing on fewer, better placed branches. This matters because the plant's choices affect everything above ground, including leaf size, flowering, and resilience during stress. It is easy to think of plants as passive, yet their roots behave like negotiators in a busy marketplace, sensing rivals and making trade-offs. These interactions can even shape the plant community over time, favoring species that are better at sharing, avoiding, or outcompeting their neighbors in the dark. Mycorrhizal fungi trade minerals for sugars in a living underground marketplace. A fungus can extend far beyond a root, reaching into tiny pores where roots cannot fit. In exchange for that access, plants pay with sugars made in their leaves. The fungus delivers phosphorus, nitrogen, and micronutrients, and it can also improve a plant's water supply during dry periods. This partnership is not vague cooperation. It is a real exchange, and both sides respond to scarcity. When soil nutrients are plentiful, a plant may reduce how much it pays. When nutrients are rare, the partnership can become essential. Fungal threads also connect to multiple plants, and resources can move along those threads depending on local conditions. The result is an underground economy that changes how forests grow, how crops respond to fertilizer, and how ecosystems recover after disturbance. It is one of the most important relationships most people never see. Some orchids cannot sprout without a fungal partner already in the soil. Orchid seeds are famously tiny, and many contain very little stored food. That makes germination a high-stakes gamble. For numerous orchid species, the seed must encounter the right fungus, and that fungus supplies nutrients that let the seed develop into a seedling. Without the partner, the seed can remain inert or fail entirely. This dependence helps explain why orchids can be so picky about where they live. A beautiful flower above ground may rely on an invisible relationship below ground that only exists in certain soils, in certain forests, or near certain tau. Host trees. It also means orchid conservation is more than protecting a plant. It can require protecting a whole underground community. When an orchid returns to a habitat after years away, it may only succeed if its unseen partner is still waiting in the darkness. The smell of soil after rain comes from underground microbes releasing chemicals. That fresh, earthy scent is not just wet dirt. It is a signal from living chemistry. When rain hits dry ground, pores fill and air is pushed out, carrying volatile compounds made by soil microbes. Among the most famous is geosmin, a molecule humans can detect at extremely low levels. It is produced by certain bacteria that live in soil, and it becomes noticeable when water disturbs the surface and aerosols form from tiny splashes. The smell is a sensory clue that microbial life has been waiting through dryness, then springing back into activity. It is also a reminder that soil is not inert. It breathes and reacts. After rain, oxygen changes, nutrients dissolve, and microscopic communities shift gears fast. What reaches your nose is a brief announcement from a hidden world, rising up for a moment. Underground microbes help create fertile soil by breaking down rock minerals. New soil often begins as rock, and microbes help turn that rock into something roots can use. Some bacteria and fungi release acids and chelating compounds that dissolve minerals, freeing elements like phosphorus, potassium, and iron. They can wedge into microscopic cracks, and their growth can help fracture surfaces over time. This is slow work, yet it is relentless, and it builds the foundation of fertility. On young volcanic landscapes, microbial pioneers can make the first steps towards soil that supports mosses, then grasses, then shrubs and trees. Even in mature soils, mineral weathering continues, and microbes keep the supply lines open. This is not just geology. It is a biological process that shapes where forests can thrive and where farmland can flourish. Fertile ground is often the product of countless invisible workers, patiently unlocking nutrients from stone. Nitrogen-fixing bacteria turn air nitrogen into plant food underground. Plants need nitrogen to build proteins and DNA, yet most cannot use nitrogen gas directly, even though it fills the air. Certain bacteria can, and many live in partnership with plants, especially legumes. The plant provides a protected home in root nodules and supplies energy. The bacteria convert nitrogen gas into ammonia and related compounds that the plant can use. It is a remarkable exchange because it takes a molecule that is abundant but inaccessible and turns it into growth. This is why legumes can enrich soil and why crop rotations often include beans or clover. The process also shapes natural ecosystems, supporting plant communities in places where nitrogen is otherwise limiting. Underground, it is like a quiet factory line, running without noise, feeding green life above. The next time you see a field of clover, remember the chemistry happening in its roots. Soil microbes can lock carbon away for centuries, slowing climate change. When plants die, carbon does not simply vanish. Much of it enters the soil, and microbes decide its fate. Some carbon is quickly recycled back to the air as carbon dioxide. Other portions become stabilized, bound to mineral surfaces, or transformed into complex compounds that resist decay. Soil structure matters here. Tiny aggregates can protect organic material from being broken down, and clay particles can hold carbon in ways that keep it out of circulation for a very long time. This makes soil a powerful carbon store, and it is why land management can influence climate. Practices that protect soil structure, reduce erosion, and support healthy microbial communities can help retain more carbon below ground. The hidden world is not only alive, it is also a vault, and its choices echo upward into the atmosphere over decades and centuries. Plant roots store energy in underground tubers as survival insurance. A tuber is a savings account built from sunlight. During good seasons, a plant sends sugars down and stores them as dense energy underground. That reserve can power regrowth after drought, cold, grazing, or fire. It can also let a plant sprint into spring, pushing leaves and flowers before competitors have fully woken. In some landscapes, this strategy is the difference between persistence and disappearance. It also shapes human history, because tubers like potatoes became staple foods that can be stored, transported, and relied upon. Underground storage protects the energy from many surface hazards, yet it is not perfectly safe. Animals search for tubers, and fungi can invade them. Still, the strategy endures because it works. A tuber is a promise the plant makes to its future self, hidden in the earth, waiting for the right moment to return. Earth's subsurface hosts a deep biosphere that can rival ocean life in mass. This hidden biosphere is spread through sediments, pores in rock, and water moving through fractures. It is not one continuous carpet of life. It is more like countless pockets, each shaped by local chemistry and the slow arrival of energy. Scientists have sampled deep cores from land and sea floor, and they keep finding cells where nobody expected them. What makes it so astonishing is scale. The underground offers an enormous volume, even if much of it is only thin films of water around mineral grains. In many places, life down there is sparse, yet the space is so vast, that the totals add up. When you imagine Earth's living inventory, it helps to picture the surface as a thin, glowing skin. Beneath it, there is a dimmer, larger realm, quietly adding weight to the story of life. Some deep bacteria live so slowly that they may divide once a century. Down deep, energy can arrive like a slow drip from a tap that never fully opens. With so little fuel, some microbes run their lives at an almost unbelievable pace. Instead of racing to grow, they focus on maintenance. They repair molecules, protect their DNA, and wait for the next usable reaction in surrounding minerals or water. In this setting, time works differently. A cell might spend years doing what a surface microbe does in minutes, and division can become a rare event rather than a daily routine. Researchers infer this slowness by measuring available energy, tracking chemical changes, and comparing cell counts to the rate of reactions that could support them. It is a form of survival, built on patience. These microbes show that life does not always thrive by multiplying fast. Sometimes it endures by barely changing at all. Certain microbes eat iron minerals and leave rust-like signatures in rock. Iron is not only a metal in tools and bridges. In many rocks, iron sits in minerals like a stored battery, ready to change form. Some microbes exploit that. They can take electrons from iron minerals or donate electrons to them, depending on what their environment offers. This turns the rock itself into part of their metabolism. Over time, their activity can stain stone with vivid reds, oranges, or dark bands, and it can change how minerals crystallize. In groundwater systems, iron cycling can also influence water quality, since dissolved iron affects taste, color, and the chemistry of other elements. The thrilling part is that these microbial fingerprints can persist. When geologists read certain mineral patterns, they may be seeing the aftermath of ancient biological work. It is like finding a meal plan written into stone. Some microbes gain energy by eating sulfur compounds deep underground. Sulfur does not always smell like a match or a hot spring. Underground, it can hide in minerals and dissolved compounds, waiting to be transformed. Certain microbes use sulfur like a fuel, pulling energy from reactions that convert one sulfur form into another. In oxygen-poor settings, these reactions can dominate, and the microbes become key players in underground chemistry. Their work can influence the smell and composition of gases that seep upward, and it can shape the acidity of groundwater in specific zones. In some places, sulfur cycling also interacts with metal chemistry, affecting how elements move through rock. The story feels almost alchemical. A microbe meets a compound in darkness, trades electrons, and turns invisible chemistry into usable energy. It is a reminder that life can live on what seems like bare geology, as long as there is a reaction to harvest. Methane underground can be made by microbes, not only by fossil fuels. When people hear methane, they often think of drilling rigs and ancient organic matter cooked by heat. Yet methane can also be born in the present, made by microbes called methanogens. These organisms thrive where oxygen is absent, and they produce methane as a byproduct of their metabolism. They can live in wetlands and animal guts, but they also operate underground, in sediments and deep water-filled fractures. In some settings, they use carbon dioxide and hydrogen. In others, they break down simpler carbon compounds left behind by other microbes. This matters because methane can migrate through rock and collect, which can blur the line between geological and biological sources. Scientists tease these origins apart by studying chemical signatures and isotopes. The deeper point is simple and startling. A flammable gas can be the breath of unseen life, produced quietly in Earth's dark interior. Other microbes consume methane underground, limiting how much reaches the air. Methane does not always rise freely from where it is made. In many underground and near-surface environments, other microbes act like gatekeepers. They use methane as their food, harvesting energy by converting it into carbon dioxide or other compounds. Some do this with oxygen when it is available, and others do it through partnerships that work without oxygen at all. This underground consumption can prevent large amounts of methane from ever reaching the atmosphere. It is an invisible filter, running constantly beneath soils, sediments, and seafloor layers. The balance between methane producers and methane consumers can shift with water levels, temperature, and the flow of nutrients. That makes it a sensitive system, and also a powerful one. When scientists measure methane emissions at the surface, part of what they are seeing is the outcome of a hidden tug-of-war below, fought microbe by microbe. A few bacteria can survive intense radiation by repairing DNA extremely fast. Radiation can rip through DNA like a storm through a library, tearing pages and scattering text. Most organisms cannot cope with that level of damage, yet a few bacteria are famous for surviving doses that would be lethal to almost anything else. Their secret is not invincibility. It is repair. They carry robust systems that stitch broken DNA back together with remarkable accuracy, and they protect their proteins from being wrecked while repair is underway. This talent matters underground because certain rocks produce natural radiation over long times, and water can be split into reactive chemicals that stress cells. In laboratories, these microbes become models for resilience, helping scientists understand how life might persist in harsh settings, including contaminated sites. The deeper ore is biological. A cell can take what looks like total destruction, pause, and then rebuild itself. It is a survival story written at the molecular level. Microbes have been found in deep rock fractures filled with ancient water. Deep underground, water can sit in cracks like hidden veins, sometimes isolated for astonishing spans of time. In those fractures, the water is often salty, warm, and pressed by heavy rock above. When scientists access these pockets through mines and boreholes, they sometimes find living microbes within them. The cells may be few, yet they persist in a place with no sunlight and little fresh input from the surface. Their food can come from the slow interaction between water and minerals, or from gases seeping through rock. What makes this feel eerie is the sense of separation. These microbial communities can be cut off from weather, seasons, and surface life, existing in their own sealed neighborhood. Studying them helps scientists estimate how long subsurface ecosystems can remain stable. It also offers a glimpse of how life might survive in other worlds, in underground water that has been hidden for ages. Deep life can persist where the only food is chemical reactions in stone. Imagine a pantry stocked with nothing you can see, only the possibility of electrons moving from one mineral to another. That is close to how deep subsurface life can work. In certain rocks, water reacts with minerals and releases small amounts of energy. It is not much, but for microbes built for efficiency, it can be enough. They may use hydrogen produced by rock reactions, or they may tap iron, sulfur, or other compounds locked in minerals. Some communities live in tight spaces, clinging to cracked surfaces where water films supply both chemicals and movement. The pace is slow, and the margins are thin. Yet persistence is the point. These organisms show that life can be supported by geology itself, without green plants and without drifting organic debris. When people ask what life needs, the deep biosphere offers a surprising answer. Sometimes, all it needs is a rock that can react. Underground microbial communities can change the acidity of groundwater over time. Groundwater feels stable, yet its chemistry can be shaped by microscopic decisions. As microbes process sulfur, iron, carbon, and nitrogen compounds, they can produce acids or consume them, nudging pH upward or downward. Over long periods, those shifts can change what minerals dissolve and what minerals precipitate, which then alters water hardness and the mobility of metals. In practical terms, microbial activity can influence whether groundwater picks up elements like arsenic in certain settings, or whether it becomes more corrosive to pipes and infrastructure. This chemistry also feeds back into biology, since different microbes prefer different acidity levels. The result is an underground world that can drift into new chemical states, guided by living metabolisms you will never see. When a spring tastes different, or a well changes over decades, part of the story can be microscopic. The water is not only passing through rock, it is also passing through life. Aquifers act like hidden lakes, storing fresh water beneath dry regions. Picture a landscape that looks thirsty, where rivers run thin and rain is rare. Beneath that surface, water can be pooled inside sand, gravel, and porous rock, held there by gravity and by the tiny spaces between grains. Wells can tap these reserves, and a single aquifer can support farms, towns, and whole cities for generations. The water moves, but it often moves slowly, seeping along pathways that twist around clay layers and bedrock. Recharge can be quick in some places and painfully slow in others, which is why overpumping can feel fine for years and then suddenly become a crisis. Aquifers are not just storage. They are part of a living cycle that links rainfall, rivers, wetlands, and the roots of plants, even when the surface looks empty. Some underground water has been isolated since the last ice ages. In certain deep basins and confined aquifers, water can become trapped behind thick layers of clay or rock that barely let anything through. Once sealed in, it may sit for astonishing spans of time, sheltered from modern rain and surface pollution. Scientists can estimate how long it has been underground by using tracers and dissolved gases, which act like faint timestamps carried in the water itself. The idea is both comforting and unsettling. Comforting because it means Earth can store fresh water like a long-term savings account. Unsettling because when that ancient water is pumped out, it is not easily replaced on a human timescale. In some regions, wells draw from water that fell as snow under very different climates, when glaciers were larger and sea levels were lower. Every sip becomes a kind of time travel through Earth's memory. Water can travel through limestone by dissolving it, forming caves and sinkholes. Limestone looks solid and stubborn, yet it has acquired weakness. When rainwater absorbs carbon dioxide from air and soil, it becomes slightly acidic, and that mild acidity can dissolve limestone grain by grain. At first, the water follows hairline fractures. Over centuries, those cracks widen into channels, then into passages you could crawl through, then into chambers big enough to swallow a building. This is how many cave systems are born, carved not by a chisel, but by chemistry and patience. The same process can hollow out the ground beneath a field or a street, leaving a roof of rock that grows thinner until it can no longer hold. When it collapses, a sinkhole opens like a trapdoor. What feels like sudden disaster is often the final moment of a slow underground sculpting. Stalactites and stalagmites grow from dripping water, grain by grain. A cave drip can seem insignificant, but it can build stone with steady devotion. As water percolates through limestone, it picks up dissolved calcium carbonate. When that water reaches a cave ceiling and meets cave air, a tiny amount of carbon dioxide escapes, and a tiny amount of mineral is left behind. Repeat that process enough times, and a stalactite begins to lengthen like a stone icicle. On the floor below, drops splatter and deposit their minerals too, slowly raising a stalagmite from the ground. Growth can be so slow that a human lifetime barely registers. Yet the final shapes can be dramatic, with columns that meet in the middle like frozen fountains. In some caves, delicate sheets and ripples form where water flows thinly over surfaces, creating curtains and terraces. Each structure is a record of countless drops, each one doing a microscopic bit of building. Cave minerals can record past rainfall like a natural climate diary. When minerals grow in caves, they often grow in layers, and those layers can carry clues about the conditions outside at the time. Water that drips into a cave reflects the climate above it, including how much rain fell, how plants were growing, and how temperatures influenced evaporation. As a stalagmite builds, it can lock in chemical ratios that change with those conditions, creating a timeline that scientists can sample like pages in a book. This is especially valuable in places where human records are short or absent. Cave deposits can extend back thousands of years, sometimes more, offering a way to compare droughts, monsoons, and long wet periods across centuries. The beauty is that the cave itself is stable. Wind does not erase the writing, and sunlight does not fade the ink. The stone simply keeps growing, quietly keeping notes about the sky. Some caves contain rare minerals that form only in total darkness. Certain cave minerals are so sensitive that light can disrupt the chemistry that helps them form, or it can encourage other reactions that prevent their growth. In the deep zones of caves, where darkness is constant and air movement is minimal, unusual crystal habits can appear. Some deposits form from slow evaporation of mineral-rich water. Others grow from sulfuric or volcanic gases interacting with moisture and rock. There are caves where the walls glitter with delicate needles, powders, and crusts that would not survive on the surface, where rain and sunlight would break them down or wash them away. The rarity is not just about the mineral itself. It is about the perfect recipe of stillness, humidity, and chemistry that the cave provides. In that sense, a cave can be like a laboratory that runs for thousands of years, producing fragile results that exist nowhere else in nature. Underground salt layers can flow slowly, like very thick liquid rock. Salt is a strange kind of stone. Under pressure, it can deform and creep, not in a dramatic rush, but in a steady squeeze that reshapes whole regions over long times. Deep underground, thick salt beds can move upward through heavier rocks, forming domes that bend layers above them like fabric over a rising pillow. This movement can create traps where oil and gas collect, which is why salt structures matter in energy geology. It also matters for engineering. Salt can seal fractures and block fluids, yet it can also shift over decades, which complicates tunnels, wells, and long-term storage projects. The idea that rock can flow feels impossible until you remember time. Give the crust enough years, and even rigid materials behave like slow taffy. Salt just does it more willingly, turning the underground into a place where solid stone can behave like a patient river. Groundwater can carry heat, creating hot springs far from volcanoes. You do not need to stand near a smoking volcano to find warm water rising from the ground. In many places, rainwater seeps down, travels deep enough to warm along Earth's natural temperature gradient, then returns to the surface through fractures and faults. The route can be long and winding, and the timing can be surprising. Water that falls today might not emerge for years, decades, or longer, depending on the plumbing of the rocks. When it rises, it can carry dissolved minerals that paint terraces and pools with vivid colors, built from calcium carbonate, silica, or other deposits. Hot springs can become habitats too, supporting specialized microbes that tolerate high temperatures and unusual chemistry. For people, they become gathering places, woven into local culture and history. For science, they are windows into underground circulation, showing how water and heat travel through hidden pathways beneath ordinary landscapes. Underground ice caves can preserve ice even when summers are warm above. Some caves behave like natural freezers. Cold winter air can sink into openings and become trapped, and dense cold air tends to stay low, especially in cave chambers that have limited circulation. In the right geometry, that cold can linger through summer, protecting ice that would melt quickly on the surface. Water seeping in can freeze and add new layers, building ice deposits that can last for long periods. These caves can preserve textures like frozen ripples and trapped bubbles, and in some cases they hold clues about past winters and long-term climate patterns. They are also delicate. A change in airflow from a new entrance, human disturbance, or warmer average temperatures can shift the balance and accelerate melting. An ice cave is a reminder that underground conditions can be remarkably stable, yet still sensitive to small changes in the world above. Cave fish often lose eyes over generations because eyes waste energy. In a place with no light, eyes become an expensive luxury. Building and maintaining eye tissue costs energy, and in caves, energy is the main limitation. Over many generations, populations of cave fish can shift toward smaller eyes, then toward eyes that never fully form. This is not a single planned step. It is the slow outcome of small advantages. Individuals that spend less energy on vision may have more to spend on finding food, surviving lean seasons, or producing offspring. Many cave fish also shift their behavior, exploring with touch and chemical cues instead of sight. Scientists are fascinated because these fish let us watch evolution in action. By comparing cave and surface relatives, researchers can trace how changes in genes and development reshape the body when the environment removes the need for Tao, light. Some cave animals evolve extra taste buds to find food in darkness. In a cave, food can arrive unpredictably, and it may be carried by water, dropped by bats, or washed in during floods. For an animal searching in darkness, tasting the world can be more useful than seeing it. Some cave species develop heightened chemical sensing, including more taste buds or more sensitive receptors around the mouth and skin. This lets them detect faint traces of nutrients, recognize edible material, and follow chemical trails left by other creatures. The cave becomes a landscape of invisible signals where a tiny hint of decay can point to a meal. This also shapes behavior. Instead of waiting in one spot, some animals methodically sweep surfaces with their bodies, sampling their surroundings as they move. It is a different kind of awareness, built for scarcity. The reward for this sensitivity is survival in a world where every crumb matters. Cave salamanders can sense faint water currents using sensitive skin. For salamanders living in underground streams, water is both home and messenger. In narrow passages, current changes can reveal where water is entering, where it is pooling, and where food might drift past. Many salamanders have skin that is highly responsive to movement and chemistry, and they can detect subtle flows that humans would not notice. A slight shift in current can signal a storm outside, or a seasonal change in groundwater. It can also hint at prey, like small crustaceans moving upstream, or insects swept in from the surface. This sensitivity helps them conserve energy, since they can choose positions where food is more likely to arrive. It also makes them vulnerable. Changes in water quality, sediment, or flow can disrupt the signals they rely on. Their bodies are tuned to the cave's hydrology, like instruments tuned to a particular song. Many underground species have slower metabolisms because food is scarce. In the underground, the main challenge is not cold or darkness. It is the long stretches between meals. Many cave and soil specialists respond by running their bodies at a slower pace, using less energy each moment. A slower metabolism can mean fewer calories needed, longer survival during shortages, and a calmer approach to growth and reproduction. Some species also live longer than their surface relatives because slow living reduces wear on the body. This creates a different rhythm of life. Instead of rapid bursts of breeding and die-off, populations may change gradually, with individuals enduring through seasons when food barely arrives. This can make underground ecosystems feel stable, yet it is a stability built on tight budgets. When a new food source appears, like a flood delivering plant debris, the whole community can respond. The underground is not empty between these events. It is waiting, conserving, and enduring. Cave insects can be nearly transparent because pigments are not useful. Pigment is often protection or display. It can shield against sunlight, help hide in leafy habitats, or signal to mates. In caves, those benefits disappear, and pigment becomes another cost with little payoff. Over time, some cave insects become pale, ghost-like, or even partly transparent, especially where their outer layers are thin. This can make their internal organs faintly visible, which feels startling when a headlamp catches them. The change is not only cosmetic, it often travels with other shifts, like longer limbs for navigating rock surfaces, or enhanced antennae for sensing the air. Transparency also reflects a broader theme. In caves, many traits are shaped by what is missing rather than what is present. Light is absent, plant cover is absent, and abundant food is absent. Evolution responds by reducing what is no longer worth paying for, and by investing in the senses that still return a profit in survival. Certain spiders live only in one cave system, nowhere else on Earth. Some cave spiders have a range so small that a single cave, or even a single passage, is their whole world. This happens because caves are isolated like islands. A spider adapted to stable darkness may not survive outside, and another cave nearby may be cut off by dry rock or unsuitable humidity. Over long time, isolation can lead to unique species that exist in only one place. That makes them thrilling to discover and fragile to lose. If a cave's airflow changes, if pollution enters groundwater, or if tourism disrupts delicate conditions, a species with nowhere else to go can vanish. For biologists, these spiders are clues to deep time. Their genetics can preserve a history of ancient climates and shifting landscapes because they stayed put while the surface changed around them. A single cave can hold an entire evolutionary story. Bats use caves as nurseries, and their guano fuels entire cave food webs. A bat colony can turn a cave into a bustling nursery, with thousands of bodies warming the air and filling chambers with sound. Many bats choose caves because temperatures stay relatively stable and predators are easier to avoid. When the bats roost and raise pups, they also leave behind guano, and that droppings pile becomes a major energy source. In caves without plants, guano can be the foundation of a food web. Microbes break it down. Insects and other invertebrates feed on it. Predators then feed on those insects, creating a chain of life powered by nightly flights to the surface. This means a cave can depend on the outside world while still hosting its own distinct community. If bat numbers fall, the cave ecosystem can shrink with them. A nursery above becomes a pantry below, linking sky, forest, and stone. Some cave crickets feed outside at night and bring nutrients back underground. Cave crickets can act like living supply runners. They shelter underground by day, then emerge at night to feed on leaves, seeds, and other surface material. When they return, they carry nutrients back into the cave in their bodies and through droppings left along the way. That input can matter enormously in nutrient-poor caves, where a small stream of food can support many other organisms. Predators may wait near entrances, knowing the crickets will pass. Scavengers may follow their trails, feeding on scraps and waste. In this way, a cricket's routine commute can structure the cave's economy of energy. It also creates a fragile dependence on the entrance zone. If the entrance is blocked, lit heavily, or disturbed, the crickets may change their behavior, and the cave community can lose one of its main supply lines. A nightly walk becomes an ecosystem service. Blind cave shrimp can navigate using touch and chemical traces. In dark, underground waters, a shroop cannot rely on vision to avoid obstacles or find food. Many cave shrimp instead become experts in touch and smell. They may use long antennae to probe ahead, reading the shape of rocks and tunnels like a cane reading a hallway. They can also follow chemical traces, including faint cues from decaying organic matter or from other animals. This makes the water feel mapped, even when it is black. Some cave shrimp are also adapted to low food conditions. They may eat slowly, scavenge efficiently, and tolerate long gaps between meals. Their movement can look deliberate, as if every step is considered, because wasted effort has a cost in a cave. For scientists, these shrimp are windows into how nervous systems adapt when a major sense disappears. Navigation does not end when sight is gone. It simply changes tools. Underground mammals can tolerate high carbon dioxide that would stun other animals. Burrows can trap exhaled gases, especially when many animals share tunnels and air exchange is limited. In such spaces, carbon dioxide can build up to levels that would trigger panic or loss of coordination in many mammals. Some underground mammals have adaptations that help them cope. They may be less sensitive to the sensations that rising carbon dioxide creates, and their bodies may manage blood acidity more effectively during those periods. This tolerance supports a life spent digging, crowding into nests, and enduring long hours underground. It also influences behavior. Animals that can withstand poorer air can use deeper burrows, maintain larger social groups, or stay sheltered longer during heat and predators. This is not a superpower without trade-offs, since burrowing still demands enormous energy. Yet it shows how strongly the underground shapes biology. The air itself becomes an evolutionary pressure, and survival depends on how calmly a body can keep working when breathing feels different. Roman mines show early engineering with drainage tunnels and ventilation shafts. Mining is not only about finding ore. It is about keeping people alive underground. Roman miners faced flooding, bad air, and collapsing rock, and their solutions reveal a practical genius. They cut drainage channels to move water away, and they used shafts to improve airflow, which reduced smoke and dangerous gases. They also organized labor in a way that allowed large projects to continue over long periods, sometimes carving complex networks into mountains. Tool marks and remaining structures show planning, and in some sites, the scale is startling when you remember the work was done without modern machines. Mines became places where geology, engineering, and human endurance met in the dark. They also left lasting impacts on landscapes and rivers, because mining waste and altered water flow could spread beyond the tunnel walls. The Roman underground was not just a workplace. It was a proving ground for problem-solving under pressure. Salt mines have preserved tools, footprints, and wooden structures for centuries. Salt can be harsh on life, yet it can be kind to history. In many salt mines, conditions are dry and stable, and that can slow the decay of organic materials that would rot elsewhere. Wooden ladders, carved supports, leather items, and simple tools can survive with astonishing clarity. Footprints can remain pressed into dusty floors, capturing a moment of movement, as if the person just stepped away. For archaeologists, this preservation is priceless, because wood and fiber rarely endure in open environments. A salt mine can hold everyday objects, not only the treasures that people deliberately buried. It can show how workers organized space, how they carried loads, and how they adapted to dangerous conditions. The strange twist is that a mineral used for preserving food can also preserve the story of the people who deobeyeru ged ite. In salt's dryness, time slows down. Some underground tombs were designed to keep temperature and humidity stable. A well-built tomb can be a controlled environment as much as it is a monument. Builders learned that deeper spaces change slowly, and that thick walls of stone can buffer heat and moisture. That stability mattered for preserving bodies, offerings, pigments, and inscriptions. It also shaped the experience of visiting, because air feels different underground, cooler and steadier than the world above. Some tombs included sealed chambers, narrow corridors, and carefully placed doors that limited airflow. Others used the surrounding rock like insulation, turning the earth itself into a protective shell. These choices were not only practical, they were symbolic, creating a sense of separation from daily life and a transition into a sacred space. When modern researchers enter such tombs, they often find that the preservation is linked directly to that ancient understanding of underground physics. The design is part belief, part engineering, and part quiet environmental control. Many early cities used underground cisterns to store water safely. Water storage becomes urgent when a city grows and when drought or siege threatens supply. Underground cisterns offered a solution that was both simple and clever. By placing storage below ground, cities reduced evaporation, kept water cooler, and protected it from many surface contaminants. Rainwater could be collected from roofs and courtyards, then guided through channels into large vaulted chambers lined to limit leaks. Some cisterns were so vast that they resembled underground halls, supported by rows of columns. Maintaining them required regular cleaning, and managing inflow and overflow demanded planning. These systems also shaped where people could live, because reliable stored water supported denser neighborhoods. A cistern is more than a tank. It is urban resilience built into stone. When you walk modern streets above old cities, there may be quiet reservoirs beneath you, reminders that survival often depended on hidden architecture. Underground quarries supplied stone for cathedrals, temples, and city walls. Stone buildings begin long before a foundation is laid. In many places, the first step was cutting blocks underground, where the best stone lay protected from surface weathering. Quarry tunnels could spread like branching corridors, with workers following layers that produced the strongest or most workable rock. Marks from chisels and wedges can still show the rhythm of extraction, and abandoned blocks sometimes sit as if the crew left mid-task. Moving stone out of an underground quarry demanded logistics, including ramps, carts, and careful planning to avoid collapse. The payoff was immense. The stone could become arches, columns, and walls that defined cities for centuries. When you admire a cathedral or an ancient fortification, you are also admiring an unseen landscape beneath it. The building has a shadow history, carved in darkness, block by block, then carried into sunlight. Archaeologists can map hidden chambers using radar without digging them open. Modern archaeology sometimes begins with listening rather than digging. Ground-penetrating radar sends signals into the earth and records the echoes that return, revealing changes in material that can indicate walls, voids, or buried foundations. Other methods, like electrical resistivity and gravity surveys, can also hint at hidden structures by measuring how the ground conducts current or how dense its crest is. These tools let researchers plan with precision, and they can protect fragile sites from unnecessary disturbance. They also reduce guesswork. Instead of opening a large area and hoping, archaeologists can target a specific anomaly and learn more with smaller, careful excavations. The result feels like seeing through the ground. A landscape that looks ordinary can suddenly show an underground blueprint. This approach is changing how ruins are studied, especially in places where preservation matters deeply. It is discovery with restraint, and it lets the unseen remain protected until the moment is right. Metro systems move millions daily through engineered caverns beneath city streets. To build a railway under a living city, engineers first have to understand the ground as if it were another kind of neighborhood. They study clay, sand, and bedrock, then choose between boring deep tunnels or cutting and covering shallower trenches. Tunnel boring machines can chew through earth while installing lining rings behind them, so the tunnel becomes stable almost as soon as it is created. Stations are often the hardest part because they are big rooms carved out near existing foundations, pipes, and cables. The result is a hidden circulatory system that keeps cities moving when roads are jammed. It also creates a strange daily ritual. People descend into rock and concrete, travel at speed through darkness, and emerge blocks away as if the city folded in on itself. Underground data centers use stable temperatures to reduce cooling energy. Computers run hot, and heat is expensive to manage. Underground, temperatures can be steadier than the surface, and that stability can be used like a natural starting point for cooling. In some designs, cool rock and controlled airflow reduce how hard mechanical chillers have to work. Humidity can also be managed more predictably, which helps protect sensitive equipment. The engineering challenge is not only cooling. Power delivery, fire suppression, water control, and secure access all have to work in a space where evacuation and ventilation require careful planning. Noise and vibration can be easier to contain underground, which can reduce impact on nearby neighborhoods. When you imagine the internet, it is easy to picture clouds and satellites. Yet part of its physical body can sit under the ground, quietly exchanging data, while the rock around it keeps temperature swings at bay. Some farms grow mushrooms underground to control humidity and pests. Mushrooms prefer conditions that many surface farms struggle to maintain. They often need steady humidity, stable temperatures, and protection from drying winds and harsh sunlight. Underground rooms can provide that control more easily, especially in tunnels, cellars, or adapted mines where the environment changes slowly. Growers can fine-tune airflow and moisture, creating a consistent rhythm that supports reliable harvests. Pests can still appear, yet the controlled space can reduce exposure to many insects and weather-driven diseases that affect outdoor crops. The work feels almost theatrical. Trays are stacked in dim rooms, and within days the crop can bloom into shapes that look like small umbrellas or coral. This kind of farming also makes use of vertical space, turning an underground corridor into a productive field. It is agriculture that grows in silence, shaped by air and darkness. Underground bunkers can be designed to filter air and resist blasts. A bunker is not simply a hole in the ground with a door. Its safety depends on structure, geometry, and systems that keep people alive when the outside world is hostile. Thick, reinforced walls and carefully shaped entrances can reduce the force of shock waves. Multiple doors can create pressure locks, so a blast does not push straight into living space. Air filtration matters too, because smoke, dust, and harmful particles can seep into enclosed spaces quickly. Designers plan for power loss, heat buildup, and safe water storage, since a sealed room becomes a termed ecosystem. Even sound and vibration can be part of the design, because panic rises faster in a space that feels unstable. A well-made bunker turns the ground into armor. It is an example of humans borrowing the Earth's mass, using it as protection when the surface becomes unpredictable. Mines require careful ventilation because invisible gases can build up quickly. Underground air can change faster than people expect. Some rocks release gases, machines add exhaust, and human breathing consumes oxygen. Without ventilation, pockets of dangerous air can form in dead-end passages, and the risk is not always obvious until symptoms appear. Engineers design ventilation networks with fans, ducts, and planned air routes, so fresh air reaches working faces and stale air is pulled away. They also monitor gas levels continuously because conditions can shift as tunnels advance into new geology. Dust control matters as well, since fine particles can harm lungs and reduce visibility. Good ventilation is more than comfort. It is the difference between a mine that feels breathable and a mine that becomes a trap. This is one of the most striking truths about underground life. The ground can hold hazards you cannot see, and safety depends on moving air with intention. Underground tunnels must manage groundwater pressure that can flood in suddenly. When a tunnel cuts through the earth, it can also cut into hidden water pathways. Groundwater may be held back by pressure, especially below the water table, and when rock is opened, that pressure can push water into the void with surprising force. Engineers plan for this with pumps, sealed linings, drainage systems, and careful grouting that plugs leaks in surrounding rock. In soft ground, they may use pressurized tunnel boring methods that balance the water pressure at the cutting face, so the ground does not collapse inward or blow out. A small leak can become a major problem if it erodes soil and creates voids above. That is why tunneling often feels like negotiating with an unseen ocean. The tunnel is a dry promise cut through wet ground, and keeping that promise requires constant attention to pressure, flow, and the patience of water. Engineers use rock bolts and shotcrete to prevent cave-ins in tunnels. Freshly exposed rock is not always stable, even when it looks solid. Small fractures can loosen blocks, and the stress of excavation can make cracks grow. Rock bolts act like long metal stitches, anchoring unstable layers to stronger rock behind them. Shotcrete, a sprayed concrete, then coats the surface, binding loose fragments and creating a protective shell. In some tunnels, steel ribs and wire mesh add another layer of support, especially in weak ground. The fascinating part is that this is not guesswork. Engineers map fractures, test rock strength, and adjust support patterns as conditions change. You can stand in a tunnel and see the evidence: plates on bolts, textured concrete, and mesh disappearing into curves. It is underground medicine. The tunnel is the patient, the rock is the bone, and bolts and shotcrete are the treatment that keeps the void from becoming a collapse. Underground trains can reduce surface noise, but they create vibration challenges. Putting trains underground can make city streets quieter, yet it introduces a different problem. Vibrations travel through rails into the tunnel structure, then into surrounding ground, and finally into nearby buildings. People may not hear a loud roar, but they can feel a faint tremble or hear a low rumble through walls at night. Engineers manage this with resilient track beds, floating slab systems, and carefully designed fasteners that absorb energy. They also consider the tunnel's distance from foundations and the type of soil, since clay and rock transmit vibrations differently. Station design matters too, because large open spaces can amplify certain sounds. This makes underground rail a balancing act. The train is meant to vanish from the surface, yet its movement still sends a message through the ground. Good design turns that message into a whisper, not a disturbance. Deep drilling can trigger small earthquakes by changing underground pressures. The crust is full of faults that are held in place by friction and pressure. When people inject fluids underground or withdraw them rapidly, they can change the stress on nearby faults. In some cases, that change is enough to nudge a fault that was already close to slipping, resulting in small earthquakes. Most of these events are minor, yet they matter because they reveal how sensitive the subsurface can be to pressure changes. Operators reduce risk by monitoring seismic activity, adjusting injection rates, and choosing sites carefully based on fault maps and local geology. This is not the same as causing major tectonic earthquakes, which involve enormous natural forces. It is more like tapping a table where a stack of books is already wobbling. The key lesson is that the underground is a mechanical system under tension, and fluids can act like invisible levers. Geothermal power taps underground heat, turning hot water into electricity. Earth stores heat beneath the surface, and geothermal systems are ways of reaching it. In some places, naturally hot water rises close enough to use directly for heating or power. In others, wells are drilled to reach hot rock, and water is circulated to carry heat back up. At the surface, that heat can drive turbines, or it can be transferred for district heating that warms buildings without burning fuel. The appeal is steadiness. Unlike wind or sunshine, underground heat does not vanish at night. The challenges are site-specific, because the best resources depend on geology, water chemistry, and how heat moves through rock. Engineers must also prevent scaling and corrosion, since mineral-rich fluids can deposit solids inside pipes. When it works well, geothermal energy feels like borrowing warmth from the planet's interior, a quiet power source that turns deep-time heat into daily electricity. The deepest mines reach temperatures that require refrigeration to keep workers safe. Far below the surface, Earth's natural heat becomes impossible to ignore. As shafts descend, rock warms steadily, and air that would feel normal at ground level can become dangerously hot underground. In the deepest mines, simply moving and breathing can raise the risk of heat stress even before heavy work begins. To make these places workable, engineers bring the cold down with chilled water systems, powerful ventilation, and sometimes ice-based cooling methods. The mine becomes an artificial climate, where temperature is managed like a life support system. This is not only about comfort. Heat changes how machines perform, how explosives behave, and how quickly people can safely work. It also changes time. Breaks become more frequent, schedules become stricter, and every task is planned around the reality that the planet is warmer as you go deeper. Some diamonds rise from deep mantle rock through fast volcanic eruptions. A diamond begins its story in the mantle, under pressures so intense that carbon atoms lock into a tight crystal lattice. The surprise is not just that they form. The surprise is how they arrive. If the journey upward is too slow, diamonds can be destroyed or altered before they ever reach the surface. Their escape depends on rare volcanic eruptions that move incredibly fast, carrying mantle fragments in a rushing pipe of magma. These eruptions can punch through crust like a sudden elevator, delivering diamonds along with other deep rocks that act like travel companions and proof of origin. When miners find diamonds, they are often following these ancient conduits, searching for the volcanic structures that once tore upward with extraordinary care. Speed. Each gemstone is a messenger from far below, telling you that the deep earth sometimes sends material upward in a single violent sprint. Underground magma chambers can inflate the ground before an eruption. Before a volcano erupts, the surface can begin to change in subtle ways. Magma that accumulates underground pushes on surrounding rock, and that pressure can lift the ground by small amounts, sometimes over wide areas. Scientists watch for this inflation using precise measurements from satellites and instruments on the ground. The pattern of uplift can hint at where magma is moving, how deep it is, and whether it is gathering in one place or spreading through fractures. It is like watching a hidden lung fill with air. Yet the signals can be complicated. The ground might rise and then fall, or different parts might shift in different directions depending on the shape of the chamber and the properties of the rock. This is why volcano monitoring blends geology, physics, and careful patience. The surface becomes a sensitive screen, showing motion from a reservoir you cannot see. Fault lines can store stress for centuries, then release it in seconds. A fault can look like a simple crack on the map, but in reality it is a boundary where massive slabs of crust grind past each other. Most of the time, friction holds the rocks in place, while tectonic forces keep pushing. Stress builds quietly, year after year, like a spring being wound tighter. Then, when the fault finally slips, the stored energy is released in a rapid burst, sending seismic waves outward and shaking the ground above. What makes this so unsettling is the contrast in timescales. The build-up can be slow enough to outlast generations, while the release can unfold in moments. Afterward, the fault may lock again, and the cycle begins anew. Scientists try to understand these patterns through historical records, rock studies, and modern monitoring. Still, each event reminds us that the underground can hold tension invisibly and then let it go with startling speed. Oil and gas form in underground sediments, shaped by heat and time. When tiny organisms die in oceans and lakes, some of their organic material settles into mud and escapes complete decay. Over long periods, that buried material is compressed into sedimentary layers, and as it sinks deeper, heat slowly transforms it into complex char. Hydrocarbons. If conditions are right, oil and gas can migrate through porous rock until they meet barriers that trap them, like caps of dense shale or salt. The result is not a single underground pool, but a system of rocks that store and seal fluids in their pore spaces. This is why petroleum geology is really geology, not just drilling. Finding a reservoir means understanding ancient environments, burial history, and the underground pathways that allowed fluids to move. It is also why time matters so much. These resources are the outcome of slow chemical cooking that took far longer than human history. Coal seams can ignite underground and burn for decades in rare cases. Coal is concentrated energy, and under the wrong conditions it can become a stubborn source of fire. In rare situations, a coal seam can ignite from lightning, wildfires, mining accidents, or spontaneous heating where air reaches coal in just the wrong way. Once a seam is burning underground, it can be extremely hard to extinguish. The fire may creep through cracks and voids, fed by oxygen that finds its way in through fractures and old tunnels. It can smolder rather than blaze, producing heat, smoke, and gases that leak to the surface in scattered vents. Over time, the burning can weaken ground and contribute to collapses or sinkholes. What makes these fires so eerie is their persistence. A surface fire ends when fuel is consumed or rain arrives. An underground seam fire can keep finding fuel in the dark, moving slowly through the earth like a hidden ember that refuses to die. Natural caves can form in lava flows, leaving long, hollow tubes. Not all caves are carved by water. Some are formed by fire. In certain volcanic eruptions, rivers of lava flow across the landscape, and the outer surface cools and hardens first, forming a crust. If molten lava continues to drain beneath that crust, it can leave behind a hollow passage, sometimes stretching for great distances. These lava tubes can preserve textures that feel freshly made, including ripples, drips, and frozen waves where molten rock once surged. They can also create stable shelters, with temperatures that change slowly compared to the surface. Over time, sections may collapse, opening skylights that reveal the tube like windows into a cooled bloodstream of stone. Lava tubes show how quickly the underground can appear. Water caves may take long ages to widen. A lava tube can form during a single eruptive episode, leaving a ready-made tunnel that tells a story of motion and heat. Underground rivers can carve canyons from below, changing landscapes above. Water does not always sculpt from the top down. In soluble rocks and fractured terrain, streams can cut passages underground, enlarging them as they flow. As channels deepen and widen, they can remove support for the surface, and the land above may sag, crack, or collapse into new valleys. Over long time, entire drainage patterns can be rerouted as water finds easier underground routes, leaving dry surface channels where rivers once ran. Springs can appear in new places, and sinkholes can merge into elongated depressions that resemble canyons formed by surface erosion. The landscape can seem stable until a sudden collapse reveals the hollowing that has been happening for centuries. This is one of the strangest ways the underground shapes the visible world. You may look at a valley and assume a river carved it in open air. Sometimes the carving began in darkness, and the surface only later followed the hidden path. Certain metals concentrate in veins where hot fluids once moved through rock. Deep underground, hot water can circulate through cracks like an unseen delivery system. These fluids can dissolve metals from surrounding rock, carry them along faults and fractures, and then deposit them when temperature, pressure, or chemistry changes. Over time, that process can build mineral veins, narrow zones that are far richer in metal than the rock around them. Gold, silver, copper, lead, and zinc can all be concentrated this way, often alongside quartz and other minerals that record the fluid's passage. For miners, veins are both promise and puzzle. They can be thin, irregular, and hard to trace, and they often split or pinch out unexpectedly. For geologists, they are snapshots of ancient plumbing, preserving evidence of heat flow, tectonic stress, and chemical gradients. A metal vein is not just a deposit. It is a fossilized pathway, marking where hot water once traveled and left treasure behind. Some underground crystals grow only when water chemistry stays steady for ages. Crystal growth can be picky. In many caves and fractures, conditions change too often for delicate crystals to form well. A shift in acidity, a pulse of sediment, or a change in drip rate can interrupt growth and leave only rough coatings. Yet in rare places, water chemistry remains stable for long spans, and that steadiness allows crystals to develop slowly and cleanly. Layer by layer, atoms align into precise shapes, building needles, plates, or clusters that look almost crafted. The patience matters. Slow growth can produce clarity and well-formed faces because the crystal has time to arrange itself rather than rushing into disorder. These crystals can also record their own history in subtle bands, capturing small variations in chemistry like a quiet timeline. When you see a flawless underground crystal, you are seeing the result of long-term stability, a place where water followed the same rules for ages without trial. Interruption. Tree roots can break rock apart, creating new soil over long timescales. A seedling does not look like a force of geology, yet roots can pry stone open with steady pressure. As a root tip grows, it follows tiny fractures, then thickens and pushes outward, widening cracks that were once hairline thin. Roots also release compounds that help dissolve minerals, and that softening makes it easier for physical pressure to do its work. When a rock finally splits, new surfaces are exposed to water, air, and microbes, and weathering accelerates. Over many seasons, that process turns solid rock into a crumbly mix that can hold moisture and nutrients. Entire hillsides can be influenced by this slow underground labor, especially where vegetation returns after bare ground. Soil is often treated like a starting point. In reality, it can be an end product of countless roots patiently turning stone into habitat. Burrowing animals mix soil layers, changing how nutrients move through ground. Soil is usually layered, with fresh organic material near the surface and older mineral-rich material below. Burrowing animals scramble that arrangement. As they dig, they bring deeper grains upward, and they pull surface leaves and seeds down into darker layers. That mixing changes where nutrients sit, where water infiltrates, and where microbes can find fuel. It can also change seed success, because some seeds are buried to the perfect depth, while others are moved too deep to sprout. The tunnels themselves matter, since they create channels for roots and rain, and they can become temporary shelters for other creatures. Over years, this activity can alter how quickly nutrients cycle through an ecosystem, and it can affect which plants dominate a landscape. A burrow is more than a home. It is a conveyor belt that rearranges the ground, one scoop at a time, shaping fertility without ever being seen from above. Underground fungi help plants resist disease by outcompeting harmful microbes. When a root enters soil, it meets both allies and enemies. Beneficial fungi can form a protective web around roots, taking up space and resources that pathogens would otherwise exploit. Some fungi also stimulate plant defenses, so the plant responds faster when a harmful microbe attacks. Others improve nutrition and water uptake, which helps a plant stay strong enough to resist infection. The underground becomes a crowded arena, and success often depends on who arrives first and who holds territory. In gardens and forests, this can mean that a healthy soil community reduces disease pressure without any visible action on the surface. Farmers sometimes encourage these partnerships through careful crop rotations and soil-friendly practices, because the benefits can be broad. A plant may look like it is standing alone in sunlight. Beneath it, a fungal shield can be quietly negotiating survival with every root tip. Some microbes produce antibiotics underground as chemical defenses against rivals. In soil, microbes live shoulder to shoulder, competing for the same tiny patches of food and space. One way to compete is to make chemicals that slow, stun, or kill neighbors. Many antibiotic compounds come from this underground arms race, where survival favors organisms that can defend their turf. These chemicals are not designed for humans, yet people learn to harness them as medicines. The discovery often begins with a simple observation. A microbe grown in a dish prevents other microbes from growing nearby. That empty ring becomes a clue that a powerful molecule is at work. Soil is especially rich in these interactions because it is so diverse, and because microbes are constantly meeting new competitors as moisture and nutrients shift. The deeper message is startling. The ground beneath you is full of chemical negotiations, and some of the most important drugs in medicine trace back to invisible battles in dirt. Underground ecosystems can collapse if surface pollution seeps into groundwater. A cave stream or an aquifer community can seem protected, yet it is connected to the surface by water pathways that can move fast. When pollutants enter the ground, they may travel through fractures and porous layers with little filtering, especially in limestone regions where water can rush through channels. Nutrients from fertilizer can trigger microbial blooms that change oxygen levels, and toxic chemicals can harm sensitive cave species that have narrow tolerance ranges. Even small concentrations can matter, because underground food webs are often lean, and a disrupted link can ripple through the whole system. The tragedy is that damage can be quiet. Water may still look clear, yet chemistry has changed. Recovery can also be slow, since replacement water may take a long time to arrive, and many underground species reproduce slowly. Protecting underground life often begins above ground, with careful land use and respect for where water goes when it disappears from sight. Heavy rains can flush oxygen into soils, suddenly changing microbial activity. After a long dry spell, a big rain can flip the soil's chemistry like a switch. Water fills pores, pushes gases around, and delivers dissolved oxygen into places that were previously starved of it. Microbes that prefer oxygen can surge into action, breaking down fresh organic material and releasing nutrients that plants can use. At the same time, microbes adapted to low oxygen may retreat or shift their metabolism. The result is a burst of change that can affect soil smell, nutrient availability, and the amount of carbon released as gases. This is one reason soil can feel so alive after storms, even when nothing obvious is happening on the surface. The underground responds to water pulses like a sleeping city responding to morning traffic. Everything becomes busier, reactions speed up, and the balance of microscopic life shifts in a matter of hours, driven by a simple event that begins as rain on leaves. Drought can force soil microbes into dormancy, waiting for water to return. When soil dries, microbes face a problem that is both simple and severe. Without water, nutrients cannot move easily, enzymes work poorly, and cells risk damaging dehydration. Many microbes respond by slowing their activity dramatically, and some form tough resting states that can endure dry periods. In this suspended mode, they conserve energy, protect their genetic material, and wait for conditions to improve. Then rain arrives, and the change can be rapid. Dormant microbes wake, repair, and resume feeding, sometimes leading to a sudden pulse of activity that reshapes soil chemistry. This cycle influences how nutrients become available to plants and how carbon moves through ecosystems. It also means soil has a kind of resilience built into it. Even when a landscape looks baked and lifeless, the underground can be holding a quiet reserve of living potential. The next rainfall does not create life from nothing. It reactivates a community that has been waiting. Cave ecosystems can be damaged by tiny shifts in airflow and humidity. Many caves maintain a stable balance of temperature, moisture, and gas exchange, and their residents are adapted to that steadiness. When airflow changes, humidity can drop, and delicate organisms can suffer. A new entrance opened by quarrying, a widened passage for tourism, or even frequent door openings in a show cave can redirect currents and dry out areas that were once consistently damp. That can affect microbial films, cave insects, and the growth of mineral deposits that depend on predictable dripping and evaporation. It can also disturb bats, which choose roosts based on specific microclimates that support rest and reproduction. The damage is often subtle at first, and that makes it easy to overlook. A cave may still look impressive, yet its living systems have shifted. Protecting caves is not only about avoiding direct destruction. It is also about preserving the invisible atmosphere that makes cave life possible. Many underground species are threatened by quarrying, mining, and land development. Underground species often have small ranges, slow reproduction, and strict environmental needs. Those traits make them vulnerable when the ground is altered. Quarrying can remove entire cave systems. Mining can change water flow and introduce contaminants. Development can pave recharge zones, diverting the clean water that caves and aquifers depend on. Even construction that never touches a cave can still harm it, because runoff and pollution can enter sinkholes and vanish into the subsurface. The loss can happen without anyone realizing a species existed there at all. Many underground animals are hard to detect, and some are known from only a handful of specimens. Once a habitat is damaged, recovery can be uncertain, because recolonization may be impossible. Surface habitats often connect and allow movement. Caves and isolated aquifers do not. When one is lost, an entire lineage can disappear with it, silently and permanently. Some caves are protected because they store rare species and irreplaceable history. Cave protection is often a blend of science, law, and humility. Some caves shelter species found nowhere else, and that alone can justify careful management. Other caves preserve archaeological sites, fossils, or climate records in mineral layers that cannot be replaced once disturbed. Protection can mean limiting access, controlling lighting, managing trails, and monitoring air and water conditions so the cave's internal balance remains stable. It can also mean protecting the land above, because caves depend on what seeps down from the surface. When a cave is managed well, visitors can still learn and explore, yet the cave remains a living archive rather than a consumed resource. The idea is not to freeze caves in time. It is to prevent irreversible change. A protected cave becomes a promise that some parts of Earth's hidden world will remain intact, so future scientists and future storytellers can still meet what waits in the dark. Scientists explore underground life by drilling clean cores to avoid contamination. To find life deep in rock, researchers have to prove they did not bring it with them. That means drilling with meticulous procedures that treat a core like evidence at a crime scene. Tools are sterilized. Fluids are tracked. Tracers can be added to show whether surface material leaked into a sample. The core is often handled in sealed conditions, then sliced so the outer layers, which are most exposed, can be separated from the inner heart. Even the air around the sample can matter. A single fingerprint can carry microbes that would overwhelm a true subsurface signal. When the work is done carefully, the reward is extraordinary. A cylinder of stone can reveal living cells tucked into fractures and pores, plus chemical clues about what those cells have been eating. It is slow, cautious science, because the underground does not forgive sloppy methods. DNA sequencing reveals underground species that cannot be grown in labs. Most microbes refuse to cooperate with petri dishes. Underground species can be especially stubborn because their lives are tuned to pressures, minerals, and chemical trickles that are hard to recreate. DNA sequencing changed the game. Instead of forcing organisms to grow, scientists read genetic material directly from soil, water, and rock samples. That reveals who is present, and it also hints at what they can do, because genes often point to certain metabolisms. Some sequences belong to lineages nobody has cultured, and sometimes nobody has even named. It is like discovering whole neighborhoods by seeing their footprints in snow. This approach also exposes community structure. You can see groups that lightly cooperate, groups that compete, and groups that survive on very different energy sources in the same tiny space. Sequencing does not answer everything, since DNA can linger after death. Still, it opens a hidden census of life that would otherwise remain invisible. Underground microbes can help clean pollutants by breaking them into safer chemicals. When pollution seeps into soil and groundwater, nature sometimes responds with chemistry. Certain microbes can use pollutants as food or as part of their energy process, transforming harmful molecules into simpler and less dangerous forms. This is the idea behind bioremediation. Engineers may encourage it by adding oxygen, nutrients, or electron donors that help the right microbes thrive. In some contaminated sites, microbes can break down petroleum compounds. In others, they can degrade solvents that would otherwise persist for years. The work often happens at boundaries, where oxygen meets low oxygen zones, or where fresh groundwater mixes with older water. That is where chemical opportunities are richest. The process can be slow, and it can produce intermediate compounds that must be tracked. Still, it is remarkable to think that a polluted plume can become a living habitat, and that microbes can turn a human mistake into a chemical puzzle they know how to solve. Some bacteria can turn toxic metals into less mobile forms underground. Metals behave differently depending on chemistry, and microbes can shift that chemistry. In certain conditions, Bacteria change the oxidation state of metals, which can make them less soluble. When a metal becomes less soluble, it is less likely to travel with groundwater. It may precipitate onto mineral surfaces or become locked into solid compounds. This matters for elements like uranium, chromium, and arsenic in specific environments where mobility determines risk. Microbial activity can also influence iron and manganese minerals that act like natural sponges, capturing other contaminants as they form. The underground becomes a reactive landscape where biology can change what is dissolved and what is stuck. This is not a simple fix. Conditions can reverse, and trapped metals can become mobile again if oxygen levels or acidity shift. That is why scientists monitor sites over long periods. Even so, the idea is powerful. Tiny cells can shape the movement of heavy elements through rock and water. Researchers test underground habitats as analogues for life on Mars. Mars is cold, dry, and blasted by radiation at the surface. If life ever existed there, many scientists suspect the safest refuge would have been underground. That is why Earth's caves, deep rock fractures, and subsurface waters are used as analogues. They offer darkness, mineral chemistry, and partial shielding from radiation, all conditions that echo what Mars might provide beneath its surface. Researchers study how microbes survive with limited energy, how they use rock reactions, and what chemical signatures they leave behind. Those signatures matter because future missions must distinguish biology from geology using small instruments and limited samples. Some teams also practice fieldwork methods in harsh deserts with caves and lava tubes, since those landscapes resemble Martian terrain. The goal is not to pretend Earth caves are Mars. The goal is to learn what to look for and how to avoid fooling ourselves. Underground life teaches that biology can be subtle and that traces can be faint but meaningful. Deep caves help scientists study how life adapts to constant darkness. In the deepest cave zones, day and night do not exist. There is no sunrise cue, no seasonal leaf fall nearby, and no light to guide behavior. That makes these caves natural experiments in adaptation. Animals and microbes there often evolve traits that are hard to isolate on the surface, where light shapes everything. Researchers can study how sensory systems shift when vision is useless, how metabolism changes when food arrives rarely, and how reproduction patterns respond to stable temperatures. Caves also reveal ecological creativity. Some communities rely on nutrients washed in by floods. Others depend on animals that commute to the surface and return. Because conditions are steady, small changes can be measured with care, and long-term monitoring can show how fragile balances are maintained. This work also informs conservation, since many cave species have narrow tolerances. The deeper lesson is human. When you remove a dominant feature like light, life does not stop. It rewrites its rules and finds new ways to sense, endure, and persist. Underground acoustics can reveal hidden voids through subtle echoes and vibrations. Sound travels through rock in ways our ears cannot directly interpret, yet instruments can. Engineers and geophysicists send controlled vibrations into the ground, then listen for how waves reflect, slow or scatter. A hidden void, a loose zone, or a dense layer changes the returning signal. This is how tunnels can be mapped ahead of excavation, and how sinkhole risks can sometimes be assessed before collapse. Caves can also be explored indirectly by measuring how airspaces resonate, especially in complex karst regions where drilling blindly is risky. The principle is simple. The underground has structure, and structure shapes vibration. The challenge is that rock is messy. Water content, fractures, and mixed layers can complicate the picture. Still, acoustic methods let scientists sketch the unseen. It is a kind of hearing that turns echoes into geometry. In a world where darkness blocks vision, vibration becomes another way of seeing. Cave air can contain ancient carbon dioxide trapped for long periods. A cave is not always connected to the outside atmosphere in a straightforward way. In some systems, air exchange is limited, and gases can accumulate in low chambers like invisible ponds. Carbon dioxide can enter from soil respiration above, from microbial activity within the cave, or from deep geological sources. If ventilation is weak, that carbon dioxide can linger and mix slowly, sometimes forming pockets that are much richer than surface air. This matters for safety, since high carbon dioxide can affect breathing and judgment. It also matters for science, because cave air chemistry interacts with dripping water and mineral growth. Changes in carbon dioxide influence how quickly minerals deposit, which can shape the records stored in speleothems. When researchers sample cave air over time, they can see seasonal breathing patterns of the cave itself, driven by temperature differences between outside and inside. In some cases, the carbon dioxide carries older signatures that hint at long storage underground. The cave becomes a quiet reservoir of gas, as well as stone. Underground water mapping can prevent wells from drying and cities from sinking. Groundwater is easy to overuse because its decline can be slow at first and then sudden. When too much is pumped, wells can fail, springs can weaken, and rivers can lose their hidden support during dry months. In some regions, heavy pumping also compacts sediments. As pore spaces collapse, the land surface can sink, sometimes damaging roads, pipes, and buildings. Mapping helps prevent these outcomes. Scientists combine well measurements, satellite data, and geological models to understand how water moves, where recharge happens, and which layers are most vulnerable to compaction. They can identify sustainable pumping rates and warn when declines are accelerating. This is not just a technical exercise. It is planning for the future of farms and cities. Water below ground is often out of sight, which makes it easy to treat as endless. Careful mapping turns it into something visible enough to manage before the consequences rise to the surface. Life underground shows biology can thrive where the surface seems impossible. When you add up everything beneath us, the underground becomes a lesson in humility. Life can persist without sunlight, without fresh oxygen, and without abundant food. It can survive in thin films of water on mineral grains and in cracks where chemistry delivers energy in tiny doses. It can also shape its surroundings, changing rock and water through slow reactions that accumulate over time. The underground teaches that habitability is not only about comfort, it is about opportunity. If there is a stable place, a usable chemical gradient, and a way to repair damage, living systems can find a foothold. This idea reshapes how we think about Earth, and it stretches our imagination toward other worlds. If our planet supports life deep in darkness, then the surface is not the whole story of biology. It is one chapter. Beneath it, there is another chapter that is quieter, older, and surprisingly full. As we come back up from the depths, notice how wide this hidden world has become in your mind. Beneath lawns and forests, beneath deserts and cities, we wandered through spaces where roots navigate by gravity and moisture, where worms and ants quietly remake the ground, and where whole communities of life trade nutrients in the dark. We drifted past aquifers that hold water like secret reservoirs, and caves that keep time in stone, preserving traces of fires, footsteps, and the slow growth of minerals. We listened to the underground as a place of motion too, with rivers disappearing into limestone, with heat rising through rock, and with engineered tunnels carrying people and power beneath busy streets. And through it all, life kept showing up in surprising ways. Not loud, not flashy, just persistent. A world that runs on chemistry, patience, and tiny margins, yet still manages to build ecosystems, archives, and shelters that shape the surface above. If you enjoyed this journey, you might take a moment to like or subscribe, or leave a comment about the most surprising part for you. It helps this channel reach more listeners who could use a calm place to land. And if you are still awake, there is another video waiting on your screen, ready to carry you into a new corner of science with the same slow pace. For now, let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw unclench. Feel the weight of the day ease out of your body, as if it is sinking into the mattress the way rain sinks into soil. Let your breathing find its own steady rhythm. Nothing needs solving tonight. Nothing needs remembering. Sleep well and good night.